Hello and welcome to Tori and Tarot. Today we are going to be talking about how our root chakra affects our sense of security. So this is going to build on the last video we did where we talked about our sense of safety. Before we get started, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe. Then make sure you get yourself comfortable. Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths. Make sure you're nice and grounded and connected to your root chakra. So as you're taking these breaths, picture that big red ball of spinning light. Just picture it going round and round. And then see the roots coming out of it as it connects you to the earth. Once you feel that you're grounded and present and in the moment, slowly, gently open your eyes and we're ready to begin. I think that's something that's often not said about being grounded and in the moment is, well, it's great that you can take 10, 15, even 20 minutes a day to meditate. You can do it in that short minute that we just took as well. So if you find yourself in the office feeling overwhelmed, give yourself a moment and go to your car, go to the bathroom, go somewhere where you can have that quiet moment for yourself and just take those few deep breaths. And either picture yourself in the forest or just picture your root chakra and connect to it. It just takes that 60 seconds to get you grounded and in the moment. I always feel like that's understated, and it's very important to know. We can make these grand gestures of meditation, but they don't always have to be that. I think that was one of the most important things I took away from my Reiki lessons. Well, it's great that we have these exercises that we can do on ourselves to help balance our chakras. It's more of the intention behind the act. So there have been many times where I've had rough days at work where I've just scooted to the bathroom and did a 30-second exercise on myself just to get myself aligned and in the moment, just to get me through the next few hours. So if you don't take anything else from the video, take that away with you today. Now back to our lessons for the book. We're going to go ahead and see what Lisa has to say about how our root chakra affects our sense of security. I know for some people, security is the same thing as safety, but it really isn't. Security is the next level up from survival. Security means you have your basics covered and you don't have to worry about them. Unlike safety, which is always assessing threats to your life, security is about the basic material things you require while you live. This means you have a roof over your head and food in your belly. It means you have the basic requirements for life. If you have ever read the book or watched the film adaptation of Freakonomics, you will know that security is obtained pretty early on in your financial journey. You would also be surprised how little money it takes for our security issues to be resolved as a primal root chakra issue, as it is only somewhere between $5,000 and $15,000. Now remember, we are only talking the bare minimum to put a roof over your head and food in your stomach. We are not talking about the quality of that roof or the type and quality of the food. It is important to understand that the root chakra is only triggered when it perceives these things are not being taken care of. So your perception of what security is will be a determining factor of how often and when your root chakra is triggered by this issue. It might be a good idea to flip a card to see what your current perception is. Just do a quick one-card draw and keep this card out, as you will need it later in this chapter. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that real quick. As you shuffle your cards, think to yourself, what is your current perception of security? And then go ahead and select your card. As I was shuffling, the Tower card popped out, which I think is funny. I have a feeling the universe knew that we were going into this lesson right away, because when I was setting up my cards, the Tower card kept falling out. So clearly it has something to tell me. And honestly, this couldn't be more accurate for me. The root chakra as a whole for me is this tower. I'm constantly waiting for something to happen, something to shake up my life. And that just goes back to how my life has always been. There's always something popping off, something that is happening. So I've just personally come to expect it. I am very uncomfortable when things are going well for me. I don't even know how to sit down and relax, to be honest. So this card for me is very relatable and not surprising at all. So this is something that I will take back to my journal and write about. I suggest that you do the same as before. We're going to be using this card going forward. And let me know what you chose in the comments below. Now back to the book. In our current world, we have moved away from basic essentials to a laundry list of items we must have or have deemed we need in order to actually feel secure in our lives. And let me know what your thoughts are on that statement, because I know I think about that quite often. I know where I work, we joke a lot about the petty things that can get us riled up. Like we just had a storm here yesterday where my Wi-Fi was acting up, and I might as well have lost power for the day because so many of my things that I use on a daily basis are connected to my Wi-Fi. For some people, it's their Starbucks. If they don't have their Starbucks in the morning, their whole day is ruined. So little things like that, I think, really play into our perceived sense of security. And that goes back to what Lisa's saying here. Most of the things on that list are non-essential to the primal programming of our root chakra, which means we have, for the most part, tried to reprogram this energy center to keep up with our wants and moved it away from just feeling satisfied by fulfilling needs. This is a problem as we have now directly linked our security issues to the realm of the ego, which is never satisfied and always feeling undervalued and under attack. I think that also plays into where we are as a society with social media. So that's another thing to keep in the back of your head as we move forward in these exercises. In order to get this part of our root chakra functioning, we need to go back to basics. We need to have an honest conversation with ourselves about what is essential in our outer world and what is merely there to appease the ego. For example, you might have convinced yourself that you won't feel secure until you have $10,000 in savings. You have paid off all your debt, your health is at 100%, you have found the partner of your dreams, or fill in the blank. These are all ego needs and have no direct link to security as the root chakra knows it. The absence of the things you claim to need will start to block the flow of energy to your root chakra. You will literally start to slow it down and freeze it with your never-ending list of demands. Slow and sluggish energy centers mean that your body and your mind will feel sluggish and slow as well, which ultimately can turn into some form of depression or ongoing feelings of sadness. In a world that is striving for happiness, joy, and enlightenment, it might be time to re-examine what we think we want versus what we actually need. So now we're going to move into our next exercise of this section and take a closer look at what's going on in our center of security and how it might be affecting the function of our root chakra. We're going to pull 4 cards and place them around our root chakra card from our original spread. So that would be the first reversed root chakra card we chose in our chakra assessment. So I'm going to pop up on screen here what the overall layout of the spread is going to look like while I read off which each card is going to represent. So card 1, that's going to be in the middle, reversed root chakra card that we pulled all the way back in our chakra assessment spread. Card number 2, which is going to be at the top, is going to represent our emotional security. Card number 3, which is going to be to the right of the center card, is going to represent our financial security. Card number 4, which is going to be underneath the center card, will represent your mental security. And finally, card number 5, which is going to be to the left of your center card, is going to represent your physical security. So go ahead, keep those in mind as you're shuffling your cards and lay them out as I have it here on screen. I'm going to take a moment, shuffle my cards, and see what I get. Now that we have our cards pulled and mapped out on our spread, we're going to take a moment and see what they're telling us. Things you want to look out for in this spread is first if you have any reverse cards. Then take a look to see if you have any court cards. They may show how you either see yourself or how you need to see yourself, especially the major arcana cards. These will give you some ideas of bigger concepts at play in your area of security. Take as long as you need to with these cards and then journal your thoughts until you've run out of things to say. If you feel the need, go to your tarot books or go online to get deeper meanings of the cards. Do whatever it is you have to do to get the most information out of this spread. So let's take a look at what I have pulled for mine. I find it very interesting that they are all court cards. And if you saw my review of this deck, that is my main weakness in reading tarot, is working with the court cards. So I think this is going to help me dive into them a little bit, and I'll be relying on the keywords a little bit more heavily here. Just as a quick reminder of something to keep an eye out for when looking over this spread is court cards show you either how you see yourself or need to see yourself when it comes to your sense of security. So that is definitely something I'm going to be focusing on when looking at all of these cards. So with my reverse root chakra card at play here, just as a reminder, this is about being arrogant, reckless, hyperactive, overly confident, loud, and one who promises much but does not deliver. So if that is the center focus of our sense of security, we're going to see how that affects my emotional security by looking at the King of Cups. Some keywords to focus on here: trust, caring, healing, good advice, a person in touch with their emotional life, a good friend, someone who is mature and emotionally stable, which I can definitely relate to that. For my financial security, I have the Page of Pentacles. This I feel like goes back to, and I know I bring this up a lot, but the name of the channel is Taurian Tarot. So a lot of it will always come back to the fact that I am a Taurus. And the Pentacles are very much Taurus related. We rely heavily on the sense of security in our financial stability. So I find it very telling that I pulled a Pentacle card for my financial security. Some keywords to take away for this card: setting goals, opportunity to increase income, an open-minded person, student, scholar, someone who is always willing to learn, which is definitely me. I always thought I was going to be a lifetime student, to be honest. For my mental security, I pulled the Knight of Cups. Some keywords for this: romantic proposals, following my heart, affection, my ideal man or woman, which I feel like this is pretty accurate because I get a lot of my overall sense of security from my significant other. I always feel the safest when I'm around them, and they're a Virgo, which if you don't have a Virgo in your life, I highly suggest getting one because they're great to have around and they really pull you back down to earth when you need it most and set you straight. And I think because they are a Virgo, they're able to keep me stable, centered, focused. So the fact that my mental security pulls on that, I think is very relatable. And then finally, for my physical security, I pulled the Page of Cups. Again, that's another love card pulling on my relationship, which again, I feel is very accurate for this reading. So here's another thing that I'll be mapping out in my journal, diving deeper in to make sure I get all of the necessary information that I need. I'm very grateful to have this overall view of the different parts of our security. And I think that this is a good exercise to get us started in this section so we know exactly what it is that we're going to be working on, and that it's not just a general idea. As you can see from here, there's many factors that go into our sense of security. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next exercise so we can dig a little bit deeper into our security. To get started on that, you're going to grab the card you flipped at the beginning of this video, which is the perception of our security. And then you're going to place it next to the reversed root chakra card that we pulled from our chakra assessment. So for me, it'd be my reverse Knight of Wands. Then you're going to add your foundation significator card that we chose in the last video. You're going to pick a significator card to represent your security. So just like we did in the last video for our safety, you want to flip through your cards and find a card that makes you feel secure. While you're going through the cards, think back to this last reading that we just did of the different types of security. What makes you feel emotionally, financially, mentally, and physically secure? Which card will best represent that for you? So I'm going to go through first and find my security significator card, and then I will pull out the rest of the cards and have them all lined up. Before we dive into the information we're meant to get out of the spread, I will just quickly point out I decided to go with the Knight of Cups for my security significator card, mostly because of the things I was pulling from it when we went through that last spread. And this is going to represent my significant other because that is where I feel the most secure in my life. And that's who makes me feel the most secure in my life. I constantly get down on myself for so many things, and they're able to pull me out of that, help me change my perspective. So I will be using that card going forward. Now we're going to take a look at what we are meant to do with this spread. So these 4 cards are a snapshot of all the energy, healing and clearing swirling around in your root chakra and the energy that wants to expand, grow, or be cleaned out. If there is a massive contrast between the random card, your selected card 1, and your security significator card, you will know you have some healing to do. If they are similar, then perhaps there is an underlying message here that needs to be explored at a deeper, more meditative way. And that's ultimately what we're supposed to get out of this reading, is where we need the most work, what type of path we're on right now. So as this is going to be the last exercise in this video, you want to take as long as you need with these cards, see what they're trying to tell you, and take it to your journal. I know for me personally, the one that stands out the most is going to be this Tower card. That is my perception of my security. And what I can see from the other 3 cards is clearly my sense of security isn't really as bad as I think it is. So I may want to take some time and reevaluate how I'm coming to this idea of sense of security, and reevaluate those things. So that is where my focus is going to be. And you can guarantee you're going to see a visual journal entry specifically about this Tower card. So I hope you were able to get some valuable insight out of this portion of the root chakra and out of these spreads. I want to thank you for taking the time to explore these ideas with me, and thank yourself for doing this work. At times, some of it may seem like it's silly or these things don't matter, but as we're slowly learning, as we're going through this root chakra, it really does matter. The work that we do now is going to lay the foundation for the work that we do later. We can make it harder on ourselves by not focusing so much on the root chakra, or we can pave the way for a lighter life full of higher energy. The choice is ultimately going to be up to you, but I do hope that you keep coming back to these videos in your own time and doing this work, because it really is important. It's just as important as the exercise we do several times a week. If you go to therapy, it's just as important as that time that you take for yourself and with your therapist. It's really how you have to view this work. It's making that choice to do something that is good for you. And that's how I'm taking it as well. It may be hard at times to face these Tower moments, but one important lesson we can take from the Tower is that is when we learn and grow the most. When we take down those things we built up around us that don't matter, and we rebuild on that foundation. And that's what I'm focusing on right now, is making sure my foundation is as strong as I can get it so that I can be a stronger person moving forward. And please, before you go, just take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really does help, and I really appreciate it. Once I've taken all of the lessons that we've learned today to my tarot journal, I will be making the videos for my visual journal as well. And then when I'm ready to return to this series, we will be focusing on how our root chakra affects our sense of stability. So I hope you're looking forward to that. I am really enjoying the work that we are doing with this book. I'm always excited to see what we're going to learn next. And until then, take care and be well.